Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. At least 6 persons have been severely injured in a fire incident at the Douala Central Prison. The fire broke out today, and we'll be bringing to you updates on that incident in that incarceration center in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. 5 individuals of Cameroonian nationality, including some members of the Cameroonian Armed Forces, have been arrested for robbery in Togo. Once more, thanks, dear viewers, for joining us on this edition of the news. My name is Babla Jonathan. We'll begin with news streaming into our studios from the Douala Central Prison, where at least 6 persons have been severely injured in a fire incident that broke out in that incarceration center earlier today. And a good section of the Douala Central Prison has been consumed by wild flames. The fire incident is said to have been provoked by some inmates. However, the cause of the inferno remains unclear as of now. Rescue soldiers have been battling to bring the flames under control, and some of the inmates who were injured in that fire incident have been transported to the hospital. The governor of the Littoral Region, Samuel Jedoneva Hadiboa, the senior divisional officer of the Wuri Division, Benjamin Mbutu, the divisional officer of the Douala, one other administrative and top military and law enforcement officials were on the scene of the incident. And that incarceration center, which was initially constructed to harbor 3,000 inmates, is today overcrowded with over 5,000 inmates. And this other inferno comes less than 5 years after the last one occurred in 2015. And before 2015, there was another fire incident in the Douala Central Prison in 2012, and the fire incidents are being attributed to poor electrical connections and poor functioning of the electrical connections in that incarceration center, which is, as I indicated earlier, overcrowded beyond capacity. And it was a serious battle. It took a serious battle for rescue soldiers from the Ngodi Fire Brigade to get into the prison center due to difficult access, and the flames consumed a good section of the prison before the rescue soldiers finally brought the flames under control. Take a listen to the governor of the Littoral Region of Cameroon, Samuel Jedoneva Hadiboa, in this extract selected by Innocent Abega.
Il faut d'abord dire qu'est-ce qui s'est passé. Et donc, nous avons tous été alertés d'un incendie qui s'est déclenché dans un dortoir au niveau de la prison centrale de Douala. Et pendant que, n'est-ce pas, le feu gagnait en intensité, nous avons fait appel à toutes nos formations en matière de... I've been aware of fire inside these prisons of Douala. This fire, we cannot at this level tell what was the cause of the fire. But when the fire occurred, we've just called all the fire brigades of Douala to come and rescue the prisoners. And when we reach, we have seen that they have made so that all the prisoners go in one side while they are fighting against fire in the other side. But some of them were just wanting to rush and to climb up and to go away of this prison. And we have taken the measures so that all these security forces have been put around this prison. At time, I can tell you that the situation is under control. No, just 3 wounded people, burned people, and 2 that are wounded. Okay.
Little Governor Samuel Dedone Vahadibo speaking there after the fire incident at the Douala Central Prison earlier today, and significant material damage in terms of documents has been recorded in yet another fire incident in the opacity of Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon. Fire consumed a section of the council building, and the correspondent David Sunaimo files in details.
The discussion on every lips as workers of the Limbe 2 Council gathered in groups with so many unanswered questions in their various camps of discussions. The mayor, Chief Ndive Daniel, arriving in the office, was briefed by the Secretary General Charles Eyum Sama. After a visit at the incident site to have an inventory of what must have been destroyed by the fire, the mayor chose to maintain a sea lip. However, said off camera that the forces of law and order shall reveal the cause of the fire incident after investigation. The Secretary General said he arrived at the scene after receiving a call at the wee hours.
Around 12:30 to around 1 a.m. I was called at the office on fire, so I left my house. We alerted the gendarmes and the police. Yeah, they were also here. It's a very sad situation.
He continues that it is thanks to the prompt intervention of the forces of law and order, not leaving out some neighbors who assisted in putting out the fire.
I also want to thank the forces of law and order because they were very prompt when I informed them that at early hours in the morning. They were here, the gendarmes, the police. They were here, so I want to thank them very much for their efforts.
The fire completely burnt the ceiling of the veranda at the whole section, then some documents at the office of the financial officer. There are clear indications that the fire at the office of the financial officer was dropped through the windows, as affected files are only those on the floor close to the windows. The incident brought out the divisional officer of Limbe 2 subdivision, forces of law and order, and the military from Isongo, after rumor mongers had it that separatist fighters have burned down the Limbe 2 Council building. Investigations have been opened by the forces of law and order in Limbe to ascertain the real cause of the fire incident at the Limbe 2 Council building.
Still in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the fight against Operation Ghost Town imposed by pro-independence fighters in the two Anglophone regions of the country within the context of the 4-year-long armed conflict in those parts of the country is gaining grounds. The mayors of Kumba 1, 2, and 3 took to the streets protesting or calling on the city dwellers to avoid Operation Ghost Town, or not to respect Operation Ghost Town, and telling them that if they don't open their shops on Mondays, the shops will be sealed. And this is a continuation of an initiative of the former mayor of Boya, Patrick Ekema Esunge, who is of late. He is the one who started championing the cause of the fight against Operation Ghost Towns. And today, the mayors of Kumba 1, 2, and 3 have taken over the relay baton and now championing the cause, fighting Operation Ghost Town and telling the people of Kumba to stop respecting Operation Ghost Town on Mondays. Now onto one of our lead stories. Some 5 Cameroonians, including some members of the National Armed Forces who had deserted the ranks of the military, have been arrested in the Togolese capital Lomé for robbery. And of course, the gang leader is a 32-year-old young man, and the others 31, 32, and 23, all of them 5 Cameroonians arrested in the Togolese capital by the judicial police. They are accused of robbery, and they have been remanded into custody while investigations are on course. Now we take you to Nkonsamba in the Mongo division of the littoral region of Cameroon, where on the developmental challenges making life quite difficult for inhabitants of that part of the country. The inadequate supply of basic amenities and other social amenities is a major problem in that part of the country, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in the following report.
Bad roads, constant electric cuts, inadequate water supply and poor hygiene conditions are some of the challenges faced by the population of Nkonsamba in the Mongo division, littoral region of Cameroon. They should empty all of those dustbins. We cannot cope with the pungent smell that comes out from there. Mosquitoes are dealing with us. A lot of people are now suffering with malaria. Some youth here in Nkonsamba are very lazy. They prefer staying at home rather than going to the farm. The rate of insecurity here is very high. Agriculture is a principal activity in the area, but now activities are on standstill. Farm-to-market routes here in Nkonsamba are not accessible. The population of Nkonsamba are calling on the newly elected mayors in the area to bring back the town of Nkonsamba to what it was before by constructing roads and carrying out other developmental projects that can help in giving the area a new facelift.
Immaculate Fogwe reporting there. An expert in the taxation-related issues has urged the government of Cameroon to explain the tax exoneration that was given or announced by the government, the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Jangote, within the context of efforts to mitigate the impact of the fight against coronavirus on the economy of the country and private businesses. According to the experts in taxation, there is a confusion on the tax exonerations announced by the Prime Minister, which is causing confusion, causing some people to get angry in the markets, in some markets across the country, and refusing to pay taxes to the council authorities, who are threatening to seal their shops over taxation issues. Smanjikan Gibre has more.
On April 30, 2020, the government, in one of its accompanying measures to traders, suspended some taxes, at least for a period of 3 months. At the central market in Douala, the city council has continued to collect taxes from traders. We are already in the first month. Even the past 2 months, they couldn't allow us. We have never seen what is happening in our market now. With tickets in their hands, these traders were threatened and forced to pay all of their tax duties for the month of May, something the least expected. They say that if we don't pay, they will destroy our things. They forced me to pay the ticket. They pass and say we should pay the space we are using, and when we see the minister has said we shouldn't pay. With the ongoing confusion between the tax collectors and business persons, the city mayor, in a media release dated May 11, 2020, specified those who were not to pay taxes as the government has ordered. Roger Mbassadine was categoric that only those who sell perishable goods without stores are exempted from the withholding tax. According to the city mayor, only those who go out to buy goods to sell to the local market are concerned. Consequently, all of those who expose tomatoes or pepper on the ground are also involved, as they are supposed to pay the council tax. Those who are paying the taxes are now demanding who gains from the tax exoneration from the government. The market treasurer had explained to us that the media release is for buy and sell am, but we are also buy and sell am too. Without a precise response to the question, an expert in tax issues says everyone is involved.
Ils n'ont pas respecté l'esprit de la loi.
They didn't respect the laws. If they respected the laws, every trader will be concerned. The PM's decision didn't precise who is to pay or not.
Être exonéré ou pas, mais on a spécifiquement parlé de l'impôt libératoire et de ceux qui vendent et qui achètent.
According to him, without a government circular, the interpretation of the government decision could be misinterpreted.
Il aurait fallu que le gouvernement,
the government should come up with another release to specify those who are concerned, because there are 4 types of withholding tax.
L'impôt libératoire se paye en 4 catégories.
All of these traders who have been threatened and forced to pay taxes in Douala are now calling on the government to re-explain the decision which exonerated them from paying taxes.
At a time when the coronavirus seems to be gaining grounds and engulfing the Republic of Cameroon, with all the 10 regions affected and the figures rising beyond 5,000, there are worries being expressed here and there by school officials, political, civil society leaders as far as back to school on June 1st, 2020 is concerned. Many think that the measures that the government has taken this far for school-going pupils and students in examination classes to return to school on the 1st of June are not sufficient to guarantee the safety of the students, the pupils, the school officials, and the teachers. Discipline masters in the Mongo division are worried about their safety ahead of school resumption. Details with Fomi Armstrong Sanda.
Less than a week for examination classes to resume in Cameroon, June 1st, 2020. Teachers and discipline masters across the country are still skeptical on the safety measures taken in their favor vis-a-vis the coronavirus pandemic. Afraid of being contaminated by students or colleagues while in school, school discipline masters in the Mungo division of the Lithora region of Cameroon are being trained. They are receiving lessons from medical officials on what to do and what not to do beginning June the 1st, 2020 in order to protect themselves and kids while in school. Though okay with the initiative, the school discipline masters in the Mungo division say they are highly exposed to the deadly coronavirus pandemic as preventive measures taken by the government are not enough.
Un grand travail supplémentaire parce que tous les jours tu dois être en train d'inventorier.
Some of them reiterated that ensuring discipline in schools entails that a discipline master be exposed directly to kids on daily basis, something they see as a great challenge.
Parce que la majorité des établissements publics n'ont pas d'infirmerie.
The discipline masters say most schools establishments in Cameroon lack infirmaries, and discipline masters are sometimes obliged to play the role of health personnel, something they are not trained to do.
Nous sommes des enseignants.
Though ready to answer present in schools on Monday, the discipline masters in the Mungo division say they share the call from the National Teachers Trade Union, demanding the government that public examinations be organized based on lessons covered before the start of the coronavirus pandemic.
Organiser les examens à partir du niveau où les enseignants ont établi les programmes.
The teachers in their declaration had asked the government to organize public examination directly without the special school program due to begin on June 1st. They argued that official examinations could be organized based on already covered material. School discipline masters in the Mungo division say not every school establishment will be able to afford thermoflashes for their kids and staff come June 1st, 2020.
Talking Point is up next. Thanks for joining us in Talking Point. Our guest today is an educationist. He is the founder and president of St. Louis University Institute, Dr. Nick Ngoyam. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk about back to school, but before that, your reaction on the fire incident today at the Douala Central Prison.
It's unfortunate that things like this are still happening, and I understand it's not the first incident. It's been going on recurrently. And we've been having these fire incidences in markets, in other public places. And what is peculiar about these prisons that is overcrowded? I mean, the living conditions in there are not the best. And now we have a fire. And the question is, why do they continue having these fires in the markets everywhere? Is it truly the poor electrical connections? Yes, that could be a possibility. Or do some inmates just intentionally start off fires to see if they can get a way of escaping from the prison? We don't know. Or it could just be that by overcrowding there with the heat and the inability to have social distancing and what have you in the prisons, probably hunger and we don't know what else, the anger can just push them to do things. So
within a space
there's more there than meets the eye, so we need to know what is going on there and try to help them.
Within a space of time of less than 8 years, 3 fire incidents in the same incarceration center. What is the problem?
Yes, we need to understand where the problem is. Is there a management problem? Is there a human problem? Is there technical problems of electricity? I mean, it was not a lightning. Fire doesn't just come from anywhere. So there are some problems there, and we need to be able to address those problems. It could just be an expression of something that is going on in there, and we don't seem to understand.
And this incident is further resurfacing or bringing onto in the news the issue of prisons that are overcrowded today. An incarceration center that was constructed to harbor 3,000 is today harboring 5,000 inmates.
I was kind of like worried, and I asked some questions some time back. Why can the government not build more prisons and create more space for everybody? And someone was saying the country cannot just get up and create more prisons and so on. It calls for some international concerns. But again, the question is, why are there so many people there? Something is not wrong in the justice system, and we need to correct it. It's not working well.
All right, let's talk about education. You're an educationist. You're the founder and president of St. Louis University Institute. How was the activities of your institution been impacted so far by the Anglophone crisis?
By the Anglophone crisis?
The COVID-19 pandemic.
So yeah, of course. I mean, we've been going through from one crisis.
The Anglophone crisis compelled you to
that's correct.
Take a shift from the northwest
to the littoral.
To the littoral, where you have established another major campus.
Correct.
And now the COVID-19 came
the
again.
COVID-19 comes, but there's something about entrepreneurship, business, and everything, is that when you have your back to the wall, if you think out of the box, it gives you an opportunity to do something, to do better, and to gain more grounds and so on. And we begin to see that with all the crises. We were comfortable in Bamenda. We knew that one day we'll come to the littoral or to the center region, or even to the north, but because of the war, we were obliged to leave much sooner than we thought, and so we came to Douala 2 years ago, and we've been doing what we could do. And then we also had in mind, for the past 10 years, we've always been talking about distance learning using the computers and internet and whatever. But the COVID-19 came and pushed us out of our comfort zone, and forced us to get the Google Suite tool for teaching children at home, and that would give us an opportunity to do a lot more.
And you have been going on with this quite well, I presume. And then the others have been managing through television learning, teaching on television. What's your evaluation of this initiative that was put in place for the teaching and learning process to continue in the course of the pandemic when the schools were shut down?
It's just so unfortunate that COVID-19 did not give us time to prepare and tell people, okay, look, I'm going to come and you will have to go home and whatever. So we were used to doing, everybody in the third world, in Cameroon inclusive, we were used to doing business as usual. But when this thing comes and we have to shut our doors and think out of the box and do things differently, then we all realize that we are with our backs to the wall, and therefore you must start doing things that you never thought of. So yes, and to quickly work things out, how do we teach all these children who are back at home? Could we use the television to get to them? But when you use the television, well, you could be at that other end thinking you are doing a good job. But the question is, what is happening at the other end? Are the children actually sitting and watching what you are teaching them on television? And this comes to point out one thing. Over the years, we have never really used the television to teach people anything. It has always been news, dancing, entertainment, political arguments, but education didn't have its place. So probably it comes to show us that, there was something that we didn't do to add value to our television services. But how effective is it is something else, is something we've got to find out. Then, of course, the internet tool would be the best way of reaching out to children. But we are not as developed as Europe or America, where every child would have access to the computer. There is steady electricity for 10 years running with no interruption, where there is a lot of internet with bandwidth costing little to nothing. Here you're working with you might have the greatest ideas, but you have no tools to work with. The computers, only very few people have computers. The electricity, even when you have a computer, you don't have electricity to charge it, and then the bandwidth is still very expensive. So there are all these limitations.
And even television sets.
Yes, even
television set is still quite a luxury to many Cameroonians. I remember on the first day when the national television began the initiative of television teaching, the child of my landlord who came knocking early in the morning, and we're rushing out of the house. I was going to work, my wife was going out, and we couldn't allow the child to follow up the classes in the house.
That's
and I can
right.
imagine how many Cameroonians were in this kind of situation.
Yeah, but that was then. Today, I think television is one of the tools items that you'll find in almost every home that you can go to that have electricity. The damn thing has become so cheap now. I mean, we went from the box thing to the flat screen, and the prices have been dropping. And then you have these broken things bringing a lot. So I understand many thieves don't even steal televisions these days.
All right, Dr. Nick, there are lots of questions on school resumption,
Yeah.
1st of June 2020.
Yes.
Do you think it's a wise decision at this point in time when the COVID-19 figures are rising in Cameroon, pupils and students are returning to school?
It's really very unfortunate. It's one of those situations where you find is the $1 million question, the clear cuttles, that kind of thing. Some kind of questions you ask yourself, you don't really have answers, and who is right, who is wrong is one of those things you can say that one is right, that one is wrong. The issue is this: we have a series of things we ought to be doing here, and then COVID-19 is keeping us locked up. When COVID-19 first showed up, we didn't know what it was exactly. So it made sense that we should all lock up and then try to find out what it is doing. Then we can begin to venture out. And when you're venturing out, you should venture out intelligently. I think that's the most useful word. And in venturing out, discipline, self-discipline is the issue. We have found out what do we do to help ourselves. We have been naming those things: wash your hands, sanitizers, face mask, shield, distancing, all those things. But, what I observed now on Milieu, for instance, was that when we started, because everybody was going for this, but as soon as we said that they could go back to the bars, it was like an announcement that everything was okay. So everybody threw away their mask, and social distancing is not very, very effective now. And you will be very surprised. You go like to Carrefour Ndokoti, it's very chaotic there. And I stopped by at Kanyabasi to check on the part of a car. And when you stop, people just come on you and they're shouting, and you're screaming, please, can you stay off me? And they're so
listening.
They're so eager to sell. They're more concerned about what they will eat, how they're going to pay for this or that. So they're trying to get a penny out of you, and they're very little concern about that health risk. So we have a lot of work to do. We see all this overcrowding in the markets, in the bars, everywhere. So the question is, going to school under these circumstances, how different is the school environment from the crowding in the Koti, from the crowding in the markets, and from the other crowding everywhere? It's a little bit tricky, and we need to think things through. But even if we choose to go to school, there are some things that we must keep in mind. If we can use the internet and other ways to continue to teach people at school and limit the coming to school where they come and congregate, it will be good. For instance, for our own school, what have we chosen to do? There are the other small classes that from the second year, the other small classes, they can easily, of course, the online teaching would continue, but like the first year's classes that have about 300, 400, 500 students sometimes, we call them the Troncomer, we'll split those ones so that we have half of the children come in the morning, they can spread in the hall, the other half comes in the evening and spreads in the hall. But this is the thing, we'll encourage that. You know, when the children are coming, the school has already acquired some face shields. The children will have face shields with face masks. We'll leave the windows open to have a lot of fresh air going through. And again, we said we will spread out. There's enough water to wash hands with soap and so on. And so we'll just try to begin to push and make. I know when children, when they see their friends, they are very happy. Hey, how are you? And so on.
Yeah,
but it will be very difficult to control that.
And that's why something that is a paradox here. When we had very few persons, not very few, a limited number of persons who had contracted the coronavirus pandemic, and the progression was not at the same speed as it is now. Schools were shut down.
Yes.
And now the speed has increased.
Yes.
The contamination has increased, and the figures are increasing rapidly.
Yes.
And we are opening schools.
Yes, even if there were two things to open, you would open the school first and open the bars last. You understand? So it's a mix of priorities in our nation.
The bars were opened first.
The bars were opened first.
And then later the schools, when
yes,
things are worse.
Giving the impression that the bars were very important. You know, sometimes when things happen, as an adult, you go back into the backstage and begin to find out why did government do that? Why is it like this? Why is this like that? Sometimes you hear the difficulties in which they find themselves and you begin to wonder. But those difficulties are evident when you don't prepare for the rainy days, and the rain just falls on you. You're bound to make some faulty steps. And COVID-19 has just come to show us that our economy is not good. Our educational system is not good. Our management is not good. Everything is not good. We don't have the food security. So we need to change a lot of strategies after this during and after this COVID-19. The way we work, the way we prepare for the future, the way we do things. And you know, one thing that this COVID-19 is going to help us with is this washing of hands. I just hope that after the COVID-19 we continue with the practice of washing hands. But something that we would have pushed forward now would be hygiene and sanitation, because you would have noticed it's very dirty everywhere. Let's have the habit of keeping good bodily hygiene, and then sanitation in the environment is something we need to carry forward, because it's going to help us with our typhoid problems, with our malaria problems, with our cholera problems, and so on. So and many other infections. So this package is really pushing us to the wall, and if we don't learn from it and we don't change, we would have failed.
In this newscast, you listen to senior discipline masters or discipline masters in general in the Mongo division expressing worries concerning their safety when they return to school, if they effectively return to school on the 1st of June 2020. When you look at the measures that have been taken, the measures that have been taken at the level of the primary and the secondary and even the higher education levels, are they good enough? 24 per class in the secondary and secondary school level, measures limiting the number of people who will be in the classrooms, no break, and so on and so forth. Do you think that those measures are really
the
good
thing
enough?
about it, you have to understand that in times of war, it's not business as usual. So we are in a time of war. It's war against an unseen enemy, and we just have to manage to do the best that we can with what we have. And even before the Corona war started, our classrooms and class settings were not the best. there was already overcrowding, and in these other schools down here, and you know that even in schools up in areas of Marwa, the schools in themselves don't exist. It's just some grass stuff and so on. Sometimes the children are sitting just on the sand. There's really nothing to write home about, and so we've been, and our health systems have not been the best either. So there's really nothing to hang on, and then COVID-19 comes and shakes those foundations, and we are wondering what we should do. I think we'll try to do our best to get out of this, but it tells us that we have to invest more in the human person, in infrastructure, change the way we do business, and change many other things. We have been living a hand-to-mouth life, doing things in a haphazard way. We need to be more structured and more disciplined in the way we work. As to what will happen in those classrooms, God alone knows. I don't know how it's going to happen, because even as you break up the children into smaller groups, it means you are overworking the teachers, and so you're trying to solve a problem, but you create other problems. I guess we just have to do this hit and run thing, navigation à vue, as they say.
And the teachers through the trade unions are asking for incentives.
Well, I think they have a right to ask for incentive. They have a right to ask for incentive. The doctors and nurses have a right to ask for incentive. It's not. I mean, sometimes we play politics around this thing and so on, but it's not fair. These people, we are overworking. We are going to be overworking them now, so they have a right to ask. It's not a favor.
St. Louis is going to provide face shields and face masks,
yes,
for the students, but there is no clear indication whether something like this will be happening at the level of the primary and secondary, notably the public schools. The public authorities are instead urging the parents to make sure that their children have face masks.
No. Let's put it right. St. Louis is going to insist that every child should have a face mask and a face shield. And a face mask is okay. The face shield, there's one young man in Bamenda who's making face shields locally, and they're very good. And then he sells one at 500 francs. And to encourage the children to use them, we have asked that each student in our school would get himself a face mask. The child would pay 300 francs for the face mask, and then the school would make up for the 200 francs, so that we all have it. We are trying to do our best to keep safe. We have bought the buckets, the soap, we've made the stands, and we put many so that the children can wash their hands. And we're trying to do the best that we can under these circumstances. I don't know what else one can do.
Should government not subsidize the cost of face masks at the level of the public schools?
No. Government should not do that.
In Chad, the face mask costs 200 francs.
Yes.
It's been subsidized by the government. But in Cameroon, masks produced by SICAM cost 1,300 francs.
I have not seen those masks, but it's a disaster and it's a shame. Watch my lips, it's a shame that a local company or whatever, I don't know how they did it, they were produced in Cameroon, right?
Yes.
And that is the problem with sometimes why local businesses don't survive. Honestly, I don't know why face mask produced by GCAM or whatever should cost 1,300 francs. 1,300 francs is the cost of a face mask. Actually, the production of a face mask should be around 200 francs, and then the people selling should make 50 francs, 100 francs, or 200 francs over it. And then, and if you continue to sell, depending on the quality, it should not even go more than 500 francs. So to have a face mask going for 1,300 francs, I don't think that is fair. A face mask should not be more than 250, 300 francs, 500 francs at most. Right. And local tellers and everybody can make it, and you just have to make sure that the filtering mechanism is good, period.
All right. Do you have other things that you want to see?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried again about
for the students to go to school and be saved from the coronavirus.
Yes, I understand. I read something. Instructions keep coming from the ministries in Yaoundé. This minister brings that minister brings that. The latest one was about sterilization of school environment. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that works. I know people will go around and blow some hot air around with some chlorine in it and call it sterilization. It's not effective, and it's just a waste of resources. And
but the schools are actually being disinfected.
Yes, we do.
How is it a waste of resources?
What are they disinfecting for? Okay, We said that when the coronavirus settles on surfaces, just a couple of days and the things die, right? So the children have been away for months, which means there is no coronavirus on the tables and seats as we speak now. So what are you disinfecting? Nothing. And then when you would come there the first day, the children are already there, then you spray and go. The question is, how long does the disinfectant last there? It's just a couple of hours and it's over. So, and then when are you going to come back to disinfect? That thing is not effective.
So it should be done regularly, or
it is not even.
Shouldn't be done.
That is, it's not even. Okay, let's put it this way: we are disinfecting the schools. Fair and good. It's a good idea. How many times have we been disinfecting the hospitals? Those are the areas where all those patients are congregating. Is it making some sense to you now? When you go to the hospitals, that's the center, and those treatment centers where the patients are congregating. I would imagine that they are doing it every day on all the beds, everything, and so on, and doing it on the cars of the doctors and everybody working. I'm only saying that, you know, we waste resources sometimes, so we don't think things through. If you really wanted to teach the children and the teachers and everybody, take water, put eau de javel in the water. Take a towel and something, wipe tabletops and wipe everything that you are touching, doorknobs and so on, and that's good enough. This thing of just spraying around is a waste of time.
All right. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, educationist, founder and president of St. Louis University Institute. Thanks for coming.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. That's it for today.